it's Pash. Welcome back to my channel, A Dash of Pash. Today we are going to be talking about how to make a curry lentil soup. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so first things first is you are going to soak your lentils. The longer you soak them, the quicker they'll cook. The soak time is completely up to you. I only soaked them for I think about 30 minutes this time. So I'm just showing you that I use a little bit more than half of the bag. And once I get the lentils in water, I usually use a bowl or a pot. I just move them around so that they're not floating at the top. So now let's get ready to chop our veggies. So first thing I do is chop up an onion. I use about 2/3 of an onion this time. As y'all can see, I am struggling to chop up these onions tonight, honey. Am I the only one who sometimes can't get it right when chopping onions? Like, sometimes I be slicing like a fruit ninja. But then other nights I really be struggling like tonight, as y'all can see. If y'all got any tips or tricks, please let your girl know. So now we're going to move on to our carrots. We're just going to chop them up into small pieces. And there I go again, cutting disaster. That night I was struggling. I know, Oscar, don't shame me too much. Anyways, so we're just going to chop those up into small pieces so we can add that into our soup. So once you're done chopping up all of your carrots, we're going to move on to peeling our sweet potatoes. But before we do that, I do need to interrupt this brief message with a concert of my girl Ari Lennox featuring Pash. So now that you've been blessed with the sweet tunes of Pash featuring Ari Lennox, let's get back to cooking. So now what you're going to do is peel your sweet potatoes. I use a peeler, but if you don't have this, you can also use a knife as well. And pro tip, do this over the trash. That way you avoid making a huge mess in your kitchen. So while you're peeling, if you end up not getting all the skin off, it's no big deal. I leave the skin on all the time. And plus the skin has some health benefits, so don't even worry about it. Now I'm just going to show y'all me using a knife, because sometimes the way that the sweet potatoes are curved, it's hard to get the peeler to cut off the skin, especially on the tops. I personally don't like using a knife only because sometimes I end up getting chunks of the sweet potato instead of just skin, and I don't want to waste my sweet potato. So now that our sweet potato is peeled, we're just going to go ahead and cut it up into chunks. I like my soup to have thick chunks of sweet potato. I like the texture that it adds, but you can also slice them thinner, and you can even cut those big circles in halves if you would like. So now let's move on to actually cooking our soup. So what you're going to do is add some oil to the bottom of your pan. And we're adding this oil so we can saute our vegetables before making the soup and the broth. So we're going to add our carrots and our onions. And then before adding the sweet potatoes, I like to add a layer of seasoning. So you're going to add your curry. And at this point, we're only frying down our curry. Another pro tip, if you want to get the most flavor out of curry, it's best to fry it down before making your soup or cooking your whatever you're making. So after we've added our curry on top of those first layer of vegetables, we add our sweet potatoes. Then we're just going to mix the vegetables around. That way the sweet potatoes are coated with the curry seasoning as well. So we're going to let those veggies saute for a few minutes in the curry, and make sure that you're stirring occasionally to prevent from burning the vegetables while sauteing. Now that we've sauteed our vegetables in the curry, we're going to go ahead and add some vegetable broth on top of those vegetables. I use the entire container, and then I go and fill the container with halfway up with water and pour that in as well. Once we've added in our broth, I season with onion powder and garlic powder. And if you're using measurements, I suggest only using a portion of it at this step, and then you'll save a little bit for later once you add your other vegetables. That way you can pack in the flavor as you add in new vegetables. You're going to add some black pepper on top of that as well, and then give that a good mix. And then we're going to go on to adding our spinach. Again, remember, as you're adding vegetables to your soup, you want to make sure you season it to add on to the flavor and pack in that punch. So that's some garlic powder, onion powder, and then some pepper as well right on top. Now it's time for us to add our lentils. Before adding them in, you want to make sure you rinse them thoroughly, and then you're going to pour those lentils right on top. Once you've added your lentils, again, you're going to add some garlic powder and onion powder and black pepper right on top of those lentils prior to mixing them into your broth. After adding your seasoning to your lentils, you're going to go ahead and mix everything around. Now we're going to bring that soup to a boil and let it boil for about 25 minutes covered before adding our tomatoes. During those 25 minutes, you want to make sure you're stirring your vegetables around. Now that we've boiled our soup for 25 minutes, go ahead and add your tomatoes into the pot. And if at any time you notice that your broth is getting low, feel free to add a water to the pot. I typically go 1 cup at a time and see how that does. After you've added in your tomatoes, you're going to mix everything around in your pot and then cover it up and cook it for about another 20 minutes. Once your lentils are soft, you know your soup is done. And here's our final product. We have our curry veggie lentil soup, delicious, hearty, and ready to be devoured. Enjoy!
Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome back to my channel, A Pat of That. Today we are going to be learning how to make a curry lentil soup. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.